Hi, my name is Sandy Kobrock. I'm a pro and rec instructor for the Silverton Avalanche School, and I'm here to talk about the snow profile and snowpack tests for your Pro 1 course. The purpose behind the snowpack and snowpack tests and snow profile part of the course is to make you a really good observer. We're doing it not just with snow, but in this case, we're talking about the snowpack. So that I, as your ski patrol director, could send you out and you could do a snow profile and do the snowpack tests and come back with industry standard information that I know is accurate and accurately reported. The snow profile and snowpack tests fit into the overall Pro 1 course as 20% of your grade. So 10% is on the snow profile and 10% is on your snowpack tests. The reason that we want to know the reason that we dig snow pits and do snowpack tests is to identify whether the avalanche problem type that has been identified in our area is located in that area that you are digging. And we do numerous tests to find out what the distribution of that avalanche problem is, how sensitive it is to triggering, and what size avalanche we might get from that. In the Pro 1, we will be looking at and coaching you at the beginning of the course, but in the exam part, we will choose as instructors a safe place for you to do your snow profile. But we will want to make sure that you probe the area before you start to excavate. You can have someone help you excavate, but once the holes are dug, then everyone will go to their own snow profile, and you will have an hour to do the snow profile and the snowpack tests. We'll be looking at your craftsmanship, and you can read in the swag about why that's important. We'll be looking at your documentation of the site. So what's the elevation, what's the aspect, what's the weather, and then you will start into looking at the snow profile with your snow temperatures. As a hint, the snow temperatures, let's see, I think I have it here. You want to look in the swag about how to do that on page 25, because there's some real details to that. And one of the things you want to come to the class ready to do is to measure your shaded thermometer for the air temperature 1.5 meters above the snow, which can be a little tricky, and it will reduce your stress if you come ready to do that. You don't have to make that up when you get to the course. You'll use your field book if you bring your own field book, or you can use the field book that we give you. So this is just an example of that. And we'll be looking for not only your documentation about the specifics of the snow profile, but also whether or not it's legible. So another hint is if you haven't practiced writing in your field book with your gloves on, that's something that you want to do. And you can learn to do it because my chicken scratch has gotten much more visible as I have practiced with this. So that would be something to practice before you come to the class with as well. So the snow profile observation, so you'll start with the temperatures, and at the same time you can be, as you're doing your temperatures, you can be doing your layer identification. Here's some suggestions about how to go about identifying those boundaries. Another hint is before the course is to begin, maybe a month before the course, is to begin to look at the snow profiles that are being posted online for the area that you're going to take your course. And that'll help you to know what the snowpack looks like, so that when you're going into your snow profile, when we're practicing before the exam, you'll have some idea of what the snow pack layers and interfaces look like already. That'll help you. So you can use a brush to identify the boundaries. you'll also use tests, your Snowpack tests. A lot of times you can just see the layers and the interfaces. And if you wish, you can bring popsicle sticks and use that to mark the layers in your Snowpack. You'll also want to obviously document the height, either in meters or inches. That's right. Might just be centimeters. I might be wrong about that. So once you get your layers identified, then you're going to go through each layer and do the hand hardness for that layer, the grain form for that layer, the grain size, and the moisture content. When it comes to grain form, you need only know the major categories. So rounds, facets, melt freeze, ice crusts. Don't need to know the subcategories like near surface facets. You only need to know that they're facets. They are facets. You also want to know, this is from the swag, you also want to know the data codes and the symbols for the various snow grain types that you are documenting in your field book. So here's some examples of what we might see in the snow pit. So here we have some faceted grains, and here's a photo of faceted grains. So as you're preparing for your Pro 1, you want to get out there and see if you can find some faceted grains that you can look at with your loop. Maybe get someone to help you if this is new to you. So facets, another photo of facets. These are rounding facets, melted a little bit. Electron microscope, you're probably not going to have an electron microscope with you, so we can just pass on that. Now we're into rounds. So this is what rounds look like. And in the top right there, you can see what the rounds would look like, the rounded grains would look like through your loop. And then in the swag, certainly in Colorado in the middle of winter, you're going to see dry snow. But if you're taking your Pro 1 later in the year, you might very well see moister snow. So being able to identify that. And again, this is from the swag. This slide is about the lemons or yellow flag criteria that helps us identify what our layer of interest might be. And so this is something that if you want to use it in your profile, you can use. And this again is in the swag, and it's also at the bottom of the snow profile in your AIR. If you use an AIRY field book, it's there as well. It's probably in other field books as well. Here's a photo of a very large layer above the ski pole there of faceted grains with a nice dense slab over it. So this would be pretty obvious. This would be using your eyes, as well as this person has used their their ski pole, but you would use your hand hardness to identify these layers. This is a great photo of surface hoar layer, which we see a lot in Colorado. So if you've not seen that in the snowpack before, that's what this looks like. The person is pointing at it. So the reason that we're doing our snowpack tests is to decrease the amount of uncertainty. So in your morning meetings, you'll be talking about what do we know and what don't we know? And so in an operation, those morning meetings, you might be uncertain about whether a certain layer exists on a certain aspect at a certain elevation. And so that's why we go out and do our snowpack test. And yeah, so that's the overview. So the snowpack tests that you'll be required to do in the Pro 1, a small column test of the compression test, and then large column tests of the extended column test and the propagation saw test. So here are some hints for those columns. The right tools make it easier, so having a good saw and also having a good ruche block cord to isolate the column. Make sure that you isolate the entire column. You want to go, just like in your snow pit, 15 centimeters below the area, the layer that you're looking at or the interface that you're looking at. Make sure that the sides don't bind so you can cut out that pie piece on either side of your columns if you want. And then make sure that you're watching the column, not the shovel. So you want to practice that because you're looking to see where the snowpack fails from your taps. So here are the 3 tests that you'll be required to do. And remember, these 3 tests are 10% of your grade. So the profile is 10% and then the tests are 10%. So compression test, this should be a review. It's also in the swag about the size of the column. And when we're looking for that failure, another piece of information that you're going to want to be brushed up on is fracture character and the shear quality of any failure that you see in these column tests. Just like the grain type, you need only know whether it's a sudden failure or a resistant failure. You need not know the subcategories of those types of failures. And then you want to know how to record it correctly to the swag standards. Here's our extended column test. Again, you want to review this in the swag. Know what the N means, know the number of taps, what the P means, and yeah. Propagation saw test. One of the challenges sometimes with the propagation saw test is finding the correct layer. If you don't have a lot of indications of what is the weak layer in your snowpack, then the propagation saw test can be challenging because you might not pick the right interface. But if you know the interface that you want, then you're going to build your column and outline that layer that you want to drag the saw up through that layer to see if it fails before 50 centimeters or later than 50 centimeters, and indicating whether or not we could get skier triggered avalanches. We can get propagation, not just failure, but propagation. So here's our sudden and resistant. Again, this is from the swag. And that's on page 31 and 32 in the swag. So at the end of your snow profile, we're going to ask you to tell us what you see in your snow profile and what about what you see is relevant and how it relates to what we know about the snowpack and the weather currently for that day in that location. And whether or not you feel confident about your evaluations, or if it's really obvious, you get a real pop and drop, or maybe you don't get much in the way of test results. So we'll just ask you to explain what you've seen. And we probably, just so you know, we'll probably videotape you as well. So be prepared for that. Okay, so I think I covered this. You know, what's still uncertain? Maybe you want to dig another snow profile on a different aspect or a different elevation, maybe do more tests in that very same snow profile. Just so that we can see that you understand what you're seeing, how to do the snow profile consistently and to industry standards, and that you understand what you're seeing there. Here's an example. I'm sure you've seen snow profiles. There's lots to look at on the CAIC website, and I'm sure other avalanche forecasts as well. Thanks for your attention, and we look forward to seeing you in class. Let's see if I had more hints.